Today, I'm going to be walking you through from beginning to end how to launch a Google Ads campaign. But if you're not familiar with Google Ads as you are with Facebook ads, I first want to go over some information beforehand because it is an extremely different platform compared to Facebook. And I know Facebook is what I mainly cover in this channel. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to walk you through some slides and give you really good foundational knowledge about the Google Ads platform. This is must-know information prior to ever launching your first campaign. So let's go ahead and have a look. All right, so the first thing is we just need to make sure we have an understanding of what a Google ad is. So here's a perfect example of what that is. You type in tire chains for trucks, and then a couple of different Google ads pop up. So these appear before and above the organic results. And so you can identify a Google ad by where it says sponsored. It looks very similar to an organic post, but the Google ads will have that sponsored text right above the message right there. And there are different styles of Google ads. The ones here on the left-hand side, they're Google search results, whereas the ones on the right-hand side, those are actually e-commerce campaigns right there where there's an image and you can click on the product directly and so on and so forth. So there are different types of campaigns for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Here is another example. This is going back to the e-commerce ones. They're specifically called shopping campaigns. So if you were to click in that whole category that we just saw over there, then it would expand like this. It's a lot more visual than your standard Google search campaign is. The benefit is that a lot of the time, depending on what platform you're on, there is an integration to kind of make these products appear more easily inside of the search results. If you're using a homegrown system, it's going to be a little bit of a pain to get these types of ads set up, but hopefully you have one of the more mainstream ones if you are looking to set up Google shopping campaigns. So here is what a basic ad looks like. And so I'm calling this a basic ad because this is the simplest way an ad can appear. It's going to have its headline and it's going to have its description, and that's it. And now a big mistake that people make is that this is how they're often creating their ads, but you're losing out by creating just a very basic ad just like this. There are tons and tons of what are known as ad extensions that make your ads bigger, more prominent, more obvious, and all that is going to increase your click-through rates, which is going to increase your results. Those two things usually go hand in hand. So let's take a look at some examples right here. So again, same search as before, tire chains for trucks. And so we see the top of the ad where it says quality snow tires, so snow tire chains, shop tire chains online. And then below that, there's a bunch of other links: browse tire chains, clearance and closeouts, buy industrial products. So those are all known as site links. You can lead people to different parts of your website. As you can see here, it makes the ad significantly bigger. If we go back to basic ad and we compare the size of this one, and now we compare the size of that one, you can see this one's literally 4 lines long, whereas the other one was only 1 line long. So you can kind of see the benefit of having the site links there as well. And then over on the right, we see some of the smaller but still very important type of ad extensions you can add. If you're doing some type of promotion, you can have kind of like a little announcement show up there beneath the ad. There's more site links as well for that second example. They're just smaller in this format, but they also have call outs right there where it says, call now, trenchless sewer repair, router man since 1970, et cetera, et cetera. Those are call outs. They're kind of just essentially, think of them as additional snippets of information about the company in general, benefits of working with them. And then lastly, if you're a local brick and mortar business, you can actually add a location extension. That way people can see immediately where it is that you are located. Before we dive into setting up a campaign and all kind of stuff, it's absolutely crucial to understand the actual keyword match types. So there are several different match types. I'm going to cover them right here. So the first one is broad match, starting up at the top. For this one, there is no symbol related to this. If you're wondering what I mean by what symbol is related to it, once I get into phrase match and exact match, it'll make a little bit more sense. But here, an example would be if someone types in if someone types in tennis shoes as the search term, then you're going to appear for that and other close variations. So for example, you're bidding on tennis shoes, but it's a broad match search term, so you will show up for shoes for running, right? So even though they're tennis shoes and maybe they're not good for running or whatever it is, because it's a broad match, it's just casting a very wide net. You're still going to show up for something like shoes for running. Another very simple example, right? If you're in the wine industry and someone types in beer, right, your ad actually might show up, even though you're not selling beer. It's an alcoholic beverage that people also enjoy, and it's a broad match. It's going to cast the widest net possible, so your ad is going to appear. For people starting off, I don't really recommend this. There is a time and place for broad match, but because of just how vast and wide it casts the net, for a lot of people, it's not the most ideal scenario. Then there's phrase match. So the symbol for that is quotation marks. Whenever you're building this inside of your Google campaign, if you want to turn a keyword into a phrase match, you have to add the quotation mark before and after the keyword or the key phrase, I guess we can call it as well. So here in this case, we're using tennis shoes as well. So now tennis shoes, as you can see here, is in quotation marks. And so the keyword phrase with words before or after plus close variants. So what that means is that if someone types in tennis shoes, you will be eligible to appear for that. But also, if someone types in the best tennis shoes or the cheapest tennis shoes, you will be eligible to appear for that. Even though you're not explicitly bidding on those are words that come before the words tennis shoes. And things can come after tennis shoes as well. So for example, like tennis shoes on sale, because that comes after your phrase of tennis shoes, you are eligible to appear that. So it's still casting a wide net, but it's much more concentrated because for the most part, there are a couple exceptions here, but for the most part, it has to have the word tennis shoes in that order. Anything else can be before and after that as well. And then lastly, we have exact match. It sounds kind of what it sounds like. It's more precise than the other two. It used to actually be exact. That is no longer the case. There's a lot more freedom and flexibility with quote unquote exact match. So it's not the best name anymore, but people are just so used to calling it that going in any other direction would be difficult. The symbol for that is brackets, right? So if you want to turn in a keyword into an exact match, you have to put brackets around it. So once again, we have here tennis shoes, brackets. You're going to be bidding for the most part just on people who type in tennis shoes and nothing else. You're going to get a couple what they call close variants, like for example, tennis shoes for me or something like that, right? It's close enough and they're going to throw you in there, but the vast majority of search terms you're going to appear for are going to be some sort of variation of just tennis shoes. All right, so we also want to talk about negative keywords here. Negative keywords are super important because Google Ads, it's not just about the keywords you bid on, it's about the keywords you want to avoid as well. So these are known as negative keywords. A super common one is the word free, right? So if you are selling a paid product, the virtue that it is paid, it's not free, right? So let's go back to the previous example. If someone types in free tennis shoes, and obviously they're not free in your case, but you're bidding them out as a phrase match, guess what? You're going to show up, people are going to click, oh wait, these tennis shoes aren't free. You know what? It's a lot of wasted clicks. So that's a classic example of adding a highly recommended negative keywords. That way you control the ad spend, right? So always be on the lookout in terms of what is coming in for your search terms. And if you see something that appears over and over again and you have 0 conversions, that means it's eligible or a good idea to make that certain word or phrase a negative keyword. You can give Google as many negative keywords as you like. There's no minimum or maximum. So feel free to be as conservative or liberal when it comes to your application of negative keywords. Personally, I like to be very liberal. I apply a lot of negative keywords because I really want to control my ad spend. So how Google charges you, it is different from what a lot of people maybe realize, is that you get charged every single time someone clicks on your ad, which actually means that impressions are free, which is kind of cool, right? So even if someone doesn't click on your ad, they might still look at it and read it and keep at the top of their mind, and you don't get charged for that. So that is one nice benefit of it. But once they do click it, you are absolutely getting charged. So here's an example of average CPCs across industries. I pulled this from WordStream. Take this with a grain of salt, but it just kind of gives you an indication of what you might expect in terms of what are the cheaper industries versus the more expensive industries. On average, I would say in my experience, the CPCs that I see are always higher than what you see right here. But again, it's just more of a gauge of like, okay, what are the expensive industries versus the cheaper industries? So a very easy example would be legal. Here you can see $6.75. That is very expensive compared to the other ones. But then if we go all the way to the top where there's advocacy, that's $1.43, or e-commerce, $1.16. So again, don't go into that if you are e-commerce, oh, I'm going to be paying $1.16. Just know that you're going to be paying less than legal. You'll be paying less than insurance and home goods and stuff like that. Like I said, typically CPCs, I do see them higher across the board than this right here. So your roadmap for success with Facebook, not Facebook ads, Google ads. I'm so used to talking about Facebook ads on this channel. I encourage you to start mostly with phrase match. Again, there is a time and place for broad match, but because of how loose it can be, your ad spend can get really out of control and you can waste up a lot of money on very low quality impressions, which I don't obviously want for you. So start mostly with phrase match and then watch what search terms come in, and then one that gets the most conversions, turn that into exact match. So going back to the tennis shoes example, if someone types in tennis shoes for women, your phrase match will show up for that. And let's just say that keeps on converting. A lot of people keep on buying tennis shoes for women. Well, then you're going to take tennis shoes for women and turn that to an exact match and increase your bid. That way you show up higher in the search results right there. So increase bids on those exact match because you know for a fact that they're the ones that work well for you. And then also turn irrelevant search terms, like I said, into negative keywords. So the next step here, we're not diving into Google Ads Manager yet. We actually still need to understand the auction. The auction is very crucial to understand how to bid with Google Ads and what constitutes who appears on the first position versus the second position and third position, and so on and so forth. Real quick, before I get there, I am super close to 1,000 subscribers. subscribers. If you enjoy the content on this channel, I would be eternally grateful if you can hit that subscribe button and help me hit my goal of 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. All right, so like I said, we need to have an understanding of the auction. Google is an auction, so is Facebook actually, but Google, I guess, feels a little bit more like an auction, that you can kind of pull the correct levers to appear at the top spot, whereas Facebook, it feels a little bit more difficult to kind of pull those levers. One thing I want to make super clear, you likely will not show up for 100% of the search terms that you bid on. Even, if you are converting a lot on tennis shoes for women, you turn that into an exact match, you increase your bet on that, you do an amazing ad that really matches well with tennis shoes for women, you're still unlikely to get 100% of the results. So when you show and what position you show up in is determined by the auction, which is why you need to understand how the auction works, because I don't want you to be like, hey, what the heck, I'm bidding exact match, I'm typing in the search term and I still don't see my ad up here. And then this also influences what you pay per click. Most people assume incorrectly that the ad that shows up at the top is the one that's going to be the most expensive click, but that is not always the case. So let's actually dive into how the auction works. The way it works in terms of what price you pay for your clicks is the ad rank of the person below you. So your competitors around you influence what you have to end up paying. And then you divide that by your own quality score. I'll get into that in just a second if you don't know what quality score is. And then you add 1 cent to that. So that is how the auction works. Now, when you see this, you actually might start to realize already, like, oh, okay, the person below me, even though they have a worse position, they theoretically could actually be paying more than me if I have a better quality score. So let's actually look at this example, right? So typically, although not always, about 4 advertisers show up on the Google search results, and then beneath that is where you get all your organic results. Everyone's gonna be putting in a different bid. You get to choose what your bid is. So in this hypothetical scenario, advertiser number 1, when I say number 1, that's the top spot, and then number 2 is the second spot, 3 third, and then 4th is the 4th spot, the lowest one. Person at the very top, in this case, they are bidding $2, but they're at the very top, right? So that's kind of surprising and counterintuitive, but this is gonna make a little bit more sense. And then the number 2 spot, they're bidding $4. The number 3 spot, they're bidding $6, and then the 4th spot, they're bidding $8. Now the person that is bidding $8, they probably think, oh, I just need to keep on bidding higher and higher in order to push myself up, but that's not always the case, because advertiser number 1 has the highest quality score. So a lot of these other advertisers, they're just focused on their bid and they are not focusing on their quality score. So the quality score is how relevant is your ad to the search term, right? So the more relevant it is, the more Google and the cheaper you're going to be paying for every single click. So an example of this, let's go back to tennis shoes for women. If someone types that in and in your headline, it straight up says tennis shoes for women, these are the best shoes for women, hands down. But that's a very relevant result for them to be seeing in these Google search results. But if someone then types in tennis shoes for women and then the ad just says really awesome tennis shoes for everyone, okay, well, it's still tennis shoes, so it's still somewhat relevant, but it's not hyper specific to tennis shoes for women. So that hyper specific one is going to get the higher quality score, and then the less specific one is going to get the worst quality score. There's other factors such as the amount of ad extensions. The more ad extensions you're using, the higher your quality score is going to be, so on and so forth. The quality score then gives you your ad rank 20, 16, 12, and 8. So the actual CPC that these people are paying, when we do the math up top, so advertiser number 1, 16, where we take the ad rank of the advertiser below you, and then you divide that by 10, which is your quality score, then plus 1 cent. So they're actually paying $1.61. They're bidding $2, but they're only paying $1.61. And then we can keep on going down the line. Advertiser number 2 is, their calculation is 12, because again, the ad rank of the advertiser below them divided by their own quality score plus 1 cent. So they're paying $3.01. And then advertiser number 3 is paying $4.01. And then advertiser number 4, they just have the highest CPC. They're not doing a great job. They have a quality score of 1, ad rank of 8. So they are paying a lot of money for each and every single click because they are not doing a good job at putting together high quality ads. So that is how you understand the auction. So when you know this framework, you can go into, okay, how am I going to increase my quality scores, my ad ranks, so that I'm paying less than everyone else, but showing up even higher than them. All right, and last but certainly not least, we want to talk about campaign structure. Just like with Facebook, and I actually just recently did some videos on the best campaign structure for ads, there is a best campaign structure for Google as well. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So here is my recommended campaign structure for Google Ads. Very similar to Facebook, right? You have your campaign level, you have your ad group level. In Facebook, they're called ad sets. And then within the ad groups, you have your ads. So very easy kind of follow if you are already used to Facebook ads. So here we have campaign number 1, ad group 1A, and then ad group 2A. And then you put your keywords. We're looking at ad group 1A specifically. You can put in one keyword in there. There's nothing wrong with that. I do that sometimes myself, but you can also put other keywords in there as well. I'll get into how you group those keywords. I can tell you right off the bat, you're not going to just throw everything under the sun into the same ad group. So just keep that in mind. And then you can have your ads in there, ad A, ad B, ad C. Now, having 3 ads is actually kind of not necessary because Google uses dynamic ads. Basically 1 ad, and you give it a maximum of 10 headlines. I think you get 4 descriptions and stuff like that. So you actually only create the ad once, but you get a bunch of different variations from it. So it's kind of a very easy way to have a lot of different ways or headlines and descriptions to test and stuff like that. And then same thing over there on the other side, campaign 1, ad group 1A, you have your keywords in your ads, ad group 2A, keywords and your ads. But let's talk about those keywords. You want to keep similar keywords in the same ad group. So an example would be, how to become a dog trainer. I can throw in become a dog trainer in there, becoming a dog trainer. Obviously, those are all super similar. I'm not going to create separate ad groups for those. So I'll stuff all of those into the same one, but I don't want to mix different styles of keywords in there. So for example, become a dog trainer, that's the main keyword. And then I mix that in with dog trainer college. Yes, they're still related, and you could theoretically make the argument to group those together. But again, remember how you get your good quality scores in ad ranks is that if the search term matches really well with the ad that you present, well, the easiest way to have a really relevant ad is to have very similar keywords inside of there and not really go outside of those bounds. So for example, dog trainer college, I would mix that into a different ad group along with, dog trainer school, for example. Those, college school are very interchangeable. And so that's how you want to go about setting up your keywords. And then this will allow you to keep your headlines relevant to your keyword and thus, like I said, increase your quality score and ad rank, pay less, and have just more success that way. All right, so that is the initial tour of Facebook ads. Next up is the step-by-step campaign setup. But hey, guess what? You're in luck. Actually, not too many months ago, I already created a video that shows you step-by-step how to create a campaign inside of Google Ads with all the knowledge that we just covered, and all of that information is 100% relevant. So to go see part 2, just go ahead and check it out right here. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope that this video will help you find plenty of Google Ads success in 2024. As always, let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. And if you haven't done so already, again, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so please consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.